There is a challenge against you, of course. What's your record on getting candidates elected?
Our record on getting candidates elected?
Yeah.
Pretty damn good.
Okay.
I would say that we get, I'd say 90 to 95% of the candidates we support to get elected. And we certainly deliver anywhere from 75 to 85% of the vote for candidates, Democratic candidates in our ward.
So I think it's pretty safe to say that the Democratic Party has been very well represented by you over the years.
Well, it's not. We've tried our best, as my predecessors have also done.
Very good. And what any special issues facing you right now? Anything you want to bring up to the voters?
Well, the main issue is the question of, I would say, a question of integrity. Here, one of my trusted lieutenants is seeking to unseat me, and did so not in a straightforward manner. Had he come to me, perhaps, and said to me, Bernie, I seek the job, and had he done so in a manner in which he had been involved in the ward organization, I probably would have turned over my seat to him. But he really didn't take an active part in the ward organization, and didn't do so in a forthright manner, and that's the reason I'm running for office again. There's no reason for me to take the job other than the fact that I believe in the Democratic Party, and I want it to continue, and I want it to be successful. But he didn't do it the right thing, and that's the reason I'm seeking re-election. Of course, we have certain political differences, like I'm supporting Senator Clinton, he's supporting Senator Obama, but we've had differences in the past, and I never stopped him from supporting other candidates, and I wouldn't have stopped him this time. But that's not the point. The point is that I believe in being truthful with each other. I believe in loyalty. I believe in other normal, and I believe in certain things that perhaps he does not believe in. And the main thing is I believe in honesty.
Well, one thing for sure is you've always been forthright, and I've always said that I never have to worry about getting a knife in the back from you, because I'll see the punch to the face coming when you disagree.
You bet your life, because I mean what I say, and I say what I mean.
No, and that's definitely true. And the fact of the matter is I've had a problem, too. You know what? If people want to pick up their free copies of Jewish Chicago, I do detail the race. And, I'm really sorry because, your opponent is somebody that I've always liked over the years, but the way he's acted in this particular race is really, really not just a question of it's not right. And that's really being polite when I'm saying it that way. When you talk about politics is a blood sport, and it's a vicious thing. But the way he's going about things is just not the right way to do things at all. It's very disappointing, and I'm very disappointed.
I had an opportunity to read it over the internet just over the last few minutes, and I got to tell you that you accurately portrayed exactly what happened in your column. And I can tell you, no matter how much he denies it, that your portrayal is exactly what happened.
Well, I wouldn't have printed it unless I can back it up with facts, and the fact, and there's more than that.
You were a witness to part of it. There's no question of it.
Yeah, I sure was. There's no question about it. And the fact is, for the best interest, you're the one force. We have the most diverse neighborhood in the city of Chicago. We have, besides for the religious Jewish crowd, we've got a secular Jewish crowd. We've got the largest Pakistani Indian shopping strips. We've got a huge Assyrian community. We've got the Croatian Cultural Center. We have a large number of people, large Asians from all over Asia. I don't know all the right words to use anymore, but we certainly have a number of people from China and Japan and other countries. And the fact is that when I go to your office and look at an event, I see the United Nations there. You know, and everybody's been standing behind you and supporting you. And everybody, you've got office hours twice a week. People can come in and talk to you all the time. You make yourself available to people all the time. You've even given out your cell phone number on the air. So if people want to call you with the problem, they can talk to you on your cell phone anytime they want. So
what bothers me is that he talks about going out and bringing in particularly the South Asian community, Southeast Asian community. You know, he has never made any attempt to go out to this community in the past, whereas I have been an integral part of that community. There's very few of the Southeast Asians that don't know me, and he doesn't know any of them. In fact, his recognition point, even with the entire community, is very low. So who is he to question me on the ability to reach out to the various communities in the ward?
No, I totally agree, and I think you've done a good job over the years, and I think you'll continue to do a good job. And much as I want to talk to you longer, we've got 3 more guests coming up on the phone.
Well,
so,
it's been a pleasure to talk to you and Jim. Jim, I haven't had an opportunity to really say hello to you, so my best to you, Jim.
Thanks, Al. Very, very good to talk to you, Alderman.
Thank you.
And, of course, that's, you know, if you want to start if you're in the 50th Ward, West Rogers Park, Peterson Park, start at the bottom of the ballot, punch number 120, and then just make sure you take care of that first, and then go up from there.
The very last name.
Yeah.
You can't get. Well, I guess that makes me the closest to the people. I'm the last name on the ballot.
So hit last first, and then go up and take care of your business on the presidential side.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alderman Bernie Stone, running for re-election as the ward committeeman on the Democratic side of the 50th Ward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so Jim, how do you see what are the races? You know, are there particular races you're looking at besides for besides for the ones we talked about at this point?
Well, I think, Avi, this election is very interesting because the presidential race is driving everything, and you know, obviously with Senator Obama being in the race, a favorite son, I think that's what's driving this turnout. I'm just very amazed. You know, early voting, I think, is finally catching on, and you know, the last couple of elections, the numbers from early voting were tiny. And we've had thousands upon thousands of people using the early voting. And I think it's really going to catch on, as Commissioner Supperton talked about earlier. You don't have to worry about what the weather's going to be election day. You don't have to worry about whether the car's going to start or you're going to get home from work in time to vote. The hours are now every day from 9 to 5. And Saturdays.
Even on Martin Luther King Day, tomorrow.
That's right. It's open on a holiday. It'll be open Saturdays and Sundays. The Chicago Board of Election Commissioners has a site in each and every of the 50 wards. And there are additional 40-some sites in the suburban Cook County area, including all of the satellite courthouses, and then a number of the village halls and city halls in suburban Cook will have it, as well as downtown at 69 West Washington, where both the county clerk and the Chicago Board have early voting on the weekends as well as during the day. So people who work downtown can come in on their lunch hour and vote, or before work or after work. Also,
very importantly along those lines, for the next 2 days, meaning Monday and Tuesday, you know, the 21st and the 22nd are the last 2 days where if you aren't properly registered at all, you could still go to 69 West Washington and vote.
There's grace period voting. I'm glad you brought that up, the next couple of days. So anybody who's watching who thinks, well, I didn't get registered in time, I can't vote, you can. You can go in, register, and at the same time you register to vote, you can cast your ballot.
Well, as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, you have to cast your ballot then, or it won't work later.
Right, yeah. In other words, you cannot register now and then go to your polling place on Election Day. But it's very easy because the place you're going to register is going to be the very same place where you vote. So it's one-stop shopping. Come in, register, go right to the polling booth, cast your vote, and it's done. And all the data is securely electronically stored. These votes will not be counted until Election Day, so it gives nobody an unfair advantage of knowing what the vote totals might be. But the votes are stored, and then they are merged into the regular votes on election night, so that the election night totals include then all the people who voted at the polling place on Election Day, but also everybody who early voted. I went with my daughter yesterday, as a matter of fact, who's a first-time voter.
Oh, wow.
And she was in from college, so I said, let's get this done. And she and I both went. We used a touch screen. It was simple. It was fast. And I was amazed. We waited in line to early vote yesterday.
Wow. So you've already voted?
I've already voted.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll tell you that I am actually going to wait till Election Day, even though I want people to vote early. As long as they can get their copy of Jewish Chicago free, and use it as their election guide, that's fine. We also have a complete review of all the judicial races, let me point out to everybody, which is something that I've really, that's actually hard, and I've had a lot of lawyers and judges over, because I've been doing this so many years, a lot of lawyers and judges are helping me out, because I don't rate them myself. I don't want to.
Well, let me tell you, the offices that always are neglected are the judicial races, and yet when you think about it, you're going to, much more likely in your lifetime, you're going to appear before a judge in Cook County on a traffic ticket or a civil matter or a divorce or any number of things that come up in your life. You're far more likely to appear in front of a judge that you're going to be electing than certainly ever meet the President of the United States or a U.S. Senator or anybody like that. And yet these are the races that appear at the bottom of the ballot and just don't get the same level of scrutiny and publicity that the more well-known races do. And yet they probably have a much greater effect on people's lives. So that's why I think it's so important that Jewish Chicago, does a very in-depth review of the judicial races, and people can pick that up. And, right in this paper where we do have all the high-profile races, Avi's done a great job of dissecting the judicial races and talking about the various candidates and their qualifications. So please pick this up and learn about the judges before you go in to vote.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, remind people also that we did interview 10 judges on the air, which is more than we ever have. The judicial community is starting to pass me around everybody, which is nice. And all these shows can be watched on YouTube. So in other words, if you want to see what one of these people are like, anywhere from about 5 minutes to about 10 minutes, depending on the show, you can see these various different judges interviewed and have a feeling for what they are. And as a matter of fact, Sonny Hersh, whose production this is, who is the chairman of the 24th District Police Advisory Committee for CAPS. And by the way, CAPS24.org, CAPS24.org is the web address to find all the meetings for the 24th District, which is West Rogers Park and Rogers Park. Tiny CAPS is important. He also chairs court advocacy for over a dozen years, and he spends a lot of time in court looking at who it is that different judges, and some of them are better than others. And he was telling me, and all the judges that appeared on our show, he had to be recommended by somebody in the judicial community for us to put them on. And he was telling me what a tremendously high quality of individual we had on the air this time, which I was really pleased to hear compared to, I hate to say it, some of the sitting judges. So it's really important that people do pay attention to make sure that we get really good judges.
Well, the bar associations do very thorough jobs. They interview the candidates who are running for judges, and they give them ratings. It's very time-intensive, but it really, there's nothing like seeing somebody on a program like this or being able to hear them on a program like this to really get a gauge of who they are, where they come from, and, how they would do their job as a judge. So the bar ratings, please take a look at those and make sure that you're aware of what the fellow members of the bar are saying about people running for judge. That's very important to know they're respected and well known in the community and well rated. But a show like this can be very important in the programs that you do where you do have so many judges on, that people can actually see them with their own eyes and hear them speak.
I think it is important. In terms of the general election itself, do you see any trends going on in Illinois or compared to the nation or in Chicago area?
Well, I think the single biggest trend is I think Senator Obama has definitely generated tremendous excitement here in Illinois. That's why I think the turnout is going to be probably close to a record turnout in this election. The early voting is a good barometer of that, and the early voting is just off the charts. And I think the other element of that is you see many more young people have registered and becoming involved in the process. So I think that's probably somewhat a nationwide phenomenon, but it's much more intense here in Illinois. There's going to be a huge turnout, and it's going to be driven by younger voters.
No question. I think that, I don't think there's any question that Obama, even though I am not for Obama personally, but I don't think there's any question that it's going to have a big effect on people.
Well, he's from Illinois. Obviously, he's a hometown favorite.
He's extremely bright and very personable.
He's a very personable, charismatic, candidate, and I think that young people relate to him. He is a younger, certainly relative to some of the other candidates who are running. He's a younger man, and he's just he brings excitement, and he brings, I think, he gets people interested, and that's good because. Once people are stepping into that voting booth, voting for president, there are all the other races that we've talked about that are so important, like the Water Reclamation District and state's attorney and local, judges. And this brings people out to participate in the process, and that's what democracy is all about.
Yeah, most of the congressional races are actually honors. I can't see anybody beating Senator Durbin. And is there any real contest, do you think, coming up in the congressional races at all? Or?
There'll be a few. Dennis Hastert retired from Congress, and that district's probably going to be very contested by both parties.
Well, countywide, I know that, Dorothy Brown's running with a pretty clear field, so she should be a cinch. There is it was a method that was pleased to be able to interview, and you can watch it all on the web, both candidates for Recorder of Deeds, the incumbent Gene Moore, as well as Ed Smith, who is the 28th Ward Alderman who's running against him. And I thought it was seeing Mayor Daley endorse Ed Smith when they've been fighting. I mean, my basic feeling was that Mayor Daley wanted him out of City Council very badly.
Well, full disclosure here, I've had the opportunity to represent Alderman Smith for a number of years, and he's a very high-quality individual. He was the driving force behind the smoking ordinance in the city of Chicago. And to make a bad pun, that then caught fire, and the state of Illinois basically adopted it. So even before it was fully implemented in Chicago to make indoor spaces smoke-free, the state of Illinois adopted it as a statewide measure, and since January 1, it's been a smoke-free environment in workplaces and offices and bars and restaurants. And generally speaking, everybody seems to be very pleased with that, and there have been very few problems. So he's been a good advocate on issues that he's stepped up on.
One thing I'll say is that I had the pleasure of interviewing both, and they're both very impressive. But in this particular case, I don't have to worry about full disclosure because I'm not doing business with either one. But I definitely selected the incumbent, Gene Moore. I felt he was more of an administrative type as opposed to a legislative type. I feel that Smith has a lot of strengths, but I went with Gene Moore in this particular case.
Well, we can agree to disagree.
That's fine. But you know what? I'll say that they're both very good people.
Yes.
That's for sure. And, I didn't even get into certain races. Oh, at this point, though, we were pleased to have as a matter of fact, the judge who presides in the most populated courtroom case-wise, Judge Michael Hyman. Judge Hyman, how are you today?
Thank you.
First of all, thank you so much for calling in. And tell us, you're running for a countywide circuit court seat.
Countywide, it's an Nowicki vacancy. I'm number 100 on the ballot. I have 3 opponents, and people just need to remember my number. My marked number is number 100. And I do sit in the busiest courtroom in the Circuit Court of Cook County. It's collections, and we have hundreds and hundreds of cases come through there every day. And
you were saying something like you get 300 calls a day sometimes?
Oh, we get 300 or usually more.
Wow.
The cases that go through our courtroom, we have 11 court clerks to handle the volume, but we have it down to a system where everybody gets their time and everything is done with fairness and respect to each individual case.
Well, one of the things I will say is that in talking to, as you know, you're one of the 10 judges I interviewed on the air, and the one thing that everyone I interviewed seems to share in common is everybody has tremendous respect for you.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I also have tremendous respect for those I'm running with. I'm running with the Democratic endorsed slate of judges, and everyone is a phenomenal individual and a terrific judge. Most of us are already judges, and the public really needs to keep us on the bench. Like myself, I was appointed by the Illinois Supreme Court, and my term expires a month after the election. So I need this to keep my job, which I do love, and it gives me an opportunity to do justice, which is what the system is all about.
No, that sounds good. And let's talk about some of your background, because you've actually been president of the Chicago Bar Association.
I'm president of the Chicago Bar Association, Decalogue Society of Lawyers. I'm the incoming chair of the Lawyers Conference of the Judicial Division of the American Bar Association. I'm on the board of the Illinois Judges Association, secretary of the Illinois Judges Association Foundation. I'm a busy person. I get involved in my community and in my profession, and I think that's important that a judge give back and speak to the public as well as to lawyers and law students about our profession.
And you do that, as a matter of fact. Everybody seems now. It's got to be tough because a judicial campaign is a different kind of campaign.
It's impossible. The newspapers hardly cover us. I was fortunate this week. I was in the lobby of the Daily Center, and I bumped into Neil Steinberg, the reporter for the columnist for the Sun-Times. Yeah. And as a result, bumping into him, we talked, and he wrote a story about me, and wrote about the fact that Jewish candidates for judge countywide haven't had much luck. For the last 12 years, we've been shut out, and that this is going to be the year, I hope, that things are going to change. We have to change it as Jews and as a diverse society to get Jewish lawyers and judges to remain on the bench. We're losing the number of Jewish candidates and judges is at an all-time low on the bench. For decades, we've had quite a few Jewish judges, and they've been retiring. The year that I became a judge, 2006, I was the only Jewish judge countywide circuit court, and there were three, I believe, that Jewish judges that retired that year. So we have our work cut out for us, and I'm just hoping that everybody remembers number 100 when they go to the ballot booth. Number
100, and by the way, also, if you take a look at Jewish Chicago, you haven't seen it yet because it's not on the street, but in the lower corner here, and I know you're in the suburbs, so you probably can't see the show live, we have a picture of you, as a matter of fact, on the cover, because you're one of the two judges, together with Judge Hyman, that we're trying to push hard from a Jewish standpoint, because both of you have, let me just say that Judge Hyman, he's got highest qualifications from so many different bar associations, it's not even funny.
That's right.
And I just think it's so important that, we be represented properly with the best possible judges. And Judge Hyman certainly is representative of exactly those things.
Right, and I appreciate all the help you've been giving. You've been a great supporter of myself, but also of good people. And that's important, that we need that kind of help in our community.
Well, thank you very much. And the fact of the matter is, I think it's just important to, like Jim and I were talking before you came on, is that it is just so important to get the right people, the best people, to administer our courts, and you certainly qualify at the highest levels along those lines.
Don't forget that it took one judge to make a difference between who is the President of the United States. It could take one judge to decide whether you keep your children or you don't, or whether you have a marriage when your marriage ends, or whether you get a ticket, or whether your freedom's taken away, or whatever thing happens, it's one judge's signature, and we need the best judges to sit on the bench and make those decisions.
And as Judge Hyman said, I want to urge you to vote. That's ballot number 100. 100, and it should be easy enough to remember. Yes. 100% of the time, vote for number 100 in this election.
I agree with that 100%.
And Judge Michael Hyman, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, and I appreciate it, and have a warm day.
Thank you. We'll try. 2 below, we'll try.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. And at this point, Jim, we've got another prospective judge on the air. And we're talking about the chief prosecutor at the Rolling Meadows Courthouse. As a matter of fact, we were speaking about him prior with Larry Sufferton. We're talking about somebody who's highly endorsed also, who's got all sorts of endorsements from all sorts of interesting people, like Dick Devine, among others. We're talking about Thomas Byrne. Prospective Judge Byrne, how you doing today?
Very good, Ave. Thanks so much for having me on the show. Morning, Jim.
Morning. How are you?
I'm real well, thank you. I did get to hear some of your discussion with Michael Hyman, and I am running, of course, with Mike Hyman. Again, you can't stress the importance of the qualifications that are out there in this slate of judges that are endorsed by the Democratic Party, and of course by you, Ave. That is one of my best endorsements.
Thank you,
Tom. You obviously you're running for judge. You're going to be hearing cases as a judge. Can you tell us a little bit about your background as an attorney? How many trials have you done?
Absolutely. Over the past 19 years, I've tried probably 75 to 100 jury trials to verdict all across the county. I've been in courtrooms from Markham on the south end of our county, 26th in California, of course, and all the way up to Rolling Meadows, where I've been for the last 4 years as the supervisor of the state's attorney's office. So I've had a tremendous amount of trial experience, and I also teach at the John Marshall Law School. I've taught evidence and trial advocacy there, which is something I feel is important as someone in this profession to give back and make sure that the new generation of lawyers are well trained for the courtroom, because that's frankly where a lot of the lawyering goes on.
And by the way, I want to point out, too, I just want to say hi to Jeff Stein, who helped us get in touch with each other, who's a really big supporter of yours, who's very well known in my neighborhood.
I'm a great friend of Jeff's, and we worked together at the state's attorney's office for a number of years. He's in private practice now, and I'm sure Jeff will do well wherever he goes.
No, he'll be fine. As a matter of fact, Sonny Hersh in his court advocacy ran into Jeff on a number of occasions and always gave Jeff the highest praise for his actions in these things. At this point, I want to thank you very much, Tom Byrne. What's your ballot number?
Ballot number is 90. Tom Byrne at 90, and I'm hoping that February 5th will make the difference with a huge turnout at the polls.
That'd be great.
And Avi, thanks so much for all your help.
First of all, it's my pleasure. And listen, Jim and I both want to see the best possible qualified candidates be elected to the bench. And that certainly includes you at 90 and Mike Hyman at 100.
Well, I appreciate that. And I should see Mike later today, and we'll keep pushing forward together. Sounds good, and good luck. And we hope everybody will vote for you. And thank you so much, Tom Byrne. Take care, Avi. Jim, take care.
Best of luck, Tom.
Thank you. And at this point, it's time to give it a general wrap-up. First of all, let me remind everybody that Jewish Chicago is available free. You can take it in the polling place. It's got all the recommendations. Go to our website at ntnm.org, and you can find out when the show will be re-aired. You can also get your free copy of Jewish Chicago on the web, and see all the interviews on YouTube, over 19,000 so far, of all the different people on the shows.
Can I jump in,
absolutely,
Avi?
Please.
We're talking about the future of politics, obviously, with a lot of the fine candidates we've talked to, and I think we should note the passing of two very influential and important people in Cook County and Chicago politics, that being John Stroger and Eugene Sawyer, both of whom have passed away. And we certainly want to extend our condolences to their families, and both of them had a huge impact on politics and government here in
Real
Cook County.
Pioneers in their own way who made very important contributions over the course of the years. No question, and we do regret the passing, and they'll be missed. There's no question about it.
They certainly will.
Yeah, let's give a quick recap. At least I want to give a recap of who I like. You can do the same thing, too. But, we had Larry Sufferton on today. We had Cynthia Santos. I really, it's funny. The president is one thing, but, other people can talk about president. I'm not too worried about that. What I really want to see is I want to see Larry Sufferton as state's attorney. I can't begin to tell you how important he is. That's ballot number 59. And I think he's put together a wonderful coalition of people. And in the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, the two most important people I'd like to see is Cynthia Santos, who was here earlier, who's 49. I also like Kathleen Therese Meany. And I'll also mention Dean Maragos, who I happen to like also very much. And I think they would make excellent commissioners. And these are the kind of people that will help this remain the best agency of all the agencies going within the state of Illinois. In the 50th Ward, we've got Alderman Berny Stone running for ward committeeman. Now that's ballot number 120 if you live in West Rogers Park or Peterson Park, and start at the bottom so you won't forget. It's a long ballot. You really should go through the whole thing and check out Jewish Chicago for all the judicial things. And even though we look at things from a Jewish standpoint, if a person isn't of the highest quality, there are times we endorse, and it's not unusual. We'll endorse a non-Jewish person over a Jewish person when the qualifications weren't that way. And we did, in fact, endorse Larry Sufferton over a Jewish opponent when he first ran.
Well, I see we've come to the end of the show, and it's been wonderful being live. My only...
thanks to Sonny Hersh and Keith McDonald.
Absolutely. And vote early, not often.
Right, and once per customer is great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Talia, for saying hi to you. And we hope all of you enjoyed it. And ntnm.org, the show will be on the web later today. And can't thank you enough for being here, everybody. And